everybody, Daniel and Mike here, the DRF race of the day for Sunday, March the 10th, race number 7 at Santa Anita. It's the China Doll Stakes, 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the lawn. Let's take a peek at this field. 6 entered, but it's a pretty solid betting race, Mike. Your morning line favorite, the 5, Madoro, perfect 2 for 2 in her career, just beat 3 of these last time out in the Blue Norther. Gonna make her first start off about a 2.5-month layoff.
It's an interesting race, though. You're right, Dan. I mean, the 2 long shots, the 1 and the 3, they're kind of hard to make a case for in this race. The other 4, I thought they were pretty hard to separate.
The pace could be very important in a short field on the turf, so we'll throw up our Timeform US projector. Visually, the 1, Girl of My Dreams, the 3. These are both horses stretching out in distance with the speed to be part of the pace. The number 2, Mo Fox Given, does have a pretty strong late kick, as evidenced by the LP designation. That means she has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. I think she could fall into a good trip here.
Yeah, me too. And the trip's going to be important for her in this race, Dan, because she hasn't gotten that many of them in her races, and it's sort of worked against her at times. But you could say that about some of the others in here too. I don't know, man. She's a good closer. The 4, Antifona, we saw her cut back last time. She came with a huge finish from the back.
Visually, the number 1, I think it's too early to completely give up on her as a stakes horse. It looked like she was getting good towards the end of her 2-year-old campaign, going gate to wire, 2 starts back over course and distance in a maiden special way. And then they cut her back in the Sweet Life Stakes. And all in all, in that sprint, she ran pretty well to be 4th at a giant number.
It wasn't a bad performance, but 2 of the horses that finished ahead of her that day are also back in here. And she didn't run as well as those 2 fillies did. Stretching out here, she's got to take a step forward.
I was very impressed with Mo Fox Given's Jimmy Durante 3 starts back. I think it was just a lot better race than it looks on paper, because she was just sort of over and behind horses much of the way and looked like she was running on at the end. And I bet her with some enthusiasm in the Blue Northern 2 starts back, and she ran okay. I wanted to see more. These connections did the right thing. Leonard Powell's a very underrated trainer, and he dropped her into a first-level allowance where she was odds on, looked like she couldn't lose on paper, didn't really get the great pace scenario, but just steams roll them in the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, she looks like a 3 to 5 shot in the stretch of this race. Just runs right over these horses. I like this too, Dan, as a confidence builder. I'm sort of with you on her Blue Northern. It wasn't a great performance, but I don't know that sitting last and trying to follow Madoro around the track there was necessarily ever going to work out. And I didn't think she ran that poorly in there. I'm with you on her Blue Northern too. That was an impossible trip, and she ran a very underrated race there.
Of the 2 speeds in this race, I think the 3, Girl of My Dreams, might be slightly quicker than the 1 visually, and she went gate to wire going the straight 6.5 furlongs, 2 starts back. She was in the Sweet Life last time out. She got cooked on a pretty hot pace before tiring, stretching out to the mile. I think Rispoli's going.
Yeah, me too. I think this horse is going to be on the lead. I'm just not convinced that she's good enough to beat these horses just based on what she's done so far. She's got to be a lot better routing than she is sprinting.
Antifona is the number 4, and while she was beaten by Madoro in the Blue Northern, she bounced right back to win the Sweet Life, cutting back to 6.5 and getting the right race flow. We'll take a look at Antifona beating 3 of these last time out at 10 to 1. Now, again, they went 21 and 3, 43 and 4. The pace is going to fall apart, but I like the way Antifona finishes this thing off.
This is a huge run that she puts in. She gets a clean trip in this race. So that's part of it, because some of the others did not. But she looked like she was moving like a train around the turn, and she just runs right over these horses. This is really impressive. But she did have a really good trip in this race, Dan, and now they're going to stretch her back out into a race that might not set up quite as well for her. I like her. I think she's talented. And that Blue Northern 2-back, she did not get a good trip in that race and was actually pretty unlucky. So, I mean, I'm not way against her, but she's not going to be a great price this time.
Madoro appears to have some talent for Peter Urton. It's tough to win coming from 8th, going 5/8 of a mile on the grass in your career debut, and Madoro did it at 13 to 1. And then the honor code filly stretched out from 5 furlongs to a mile in her second lifetime start, winning the Blue Northern Stakes. It's not like there was a ton of pace in this race. She kind of carried ground all the way around, Mike, sort of 3 wide, 4 path, and she's still running on in the stretch. I really like the way she digs down deep. She's reaching for it.
I like this too. They did just sit on the outside too. They rode her with a lot of confidence here, Dan. This is a big finish. That's Mo Fox Given, the 8, who just tried to follow her and really couldn't gain any ground on her through the stretch. This horse was really impressive winning first time out, and it wasn't like a super impressive run that she put in there, but she was even better in that race. She might be the horse to beat here, Dan.
Zona Verde for me is just a horse I've had a lot of trouble analyzing. When she won the Jimmy Durante 3 starts back, she couldn't have had anything easier. She went right to the lead, and in that mile race, she backed it up to 48 and change. In her subsequent 2 starts, though, she's had a significant amount of trouble, and she was running on a little bit at the end of that sweet life.
Yeah, I think that's the proper way to evaluate her too, Dan. I don't think you would bet her off the Jimmy Durante, where she just had all the best of it and won. But then she blows the break in the Blue Northern and actually runs well in that spot. And she did not get the clean trip that Antifona did last time. And listen, I don't know how much closer it was going to be at the end, but it was going to be closer. She really ran when she got clear. She's a dangerous horse in this race.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the China Doll Stakes. I'm going to go with Madoro in here, Mike, to make it 3 for 3. I have a feeling the price is going to be very appealing. I just like her tenacity in her first 2 starts. She'll be running on in the end. Mo Fox Given's going to be running on as well, and she might be the third choice in this race.
Yeah, that's why I have her on top. I found it pretty hard to separate the 4 horses that I have there in that superfecta box. I'm not sure who the best one is. I think trips are going to be really important, and I just sort of felt like Mo Fox Given would be the best price of the 4, so I put her on top.
2645 for Mike, 5641 for me. It's the China Doll on Sunday at Santa Anita, race number 7 at the Great Race Place. Good luck.